Uncle Sam Carrington by Leonora Carrington. Whenever Uncle Sam Carrington saw the full moon, he couldn't stop laughing. A sunset had the same effect on Aunt Edgeworth. Between them, they caused my poor mother a great deal of suffering, for she had a certain social reputation to keep up. When I was 8, I was considered the most serious member of the family. My mother confided in me. She told me that it was a crying shame that she wasn't invited anywhere, that Lady Cholmondeley Bottom cut her when they passed in the street. I was grief-stricken. Uncle Sam Carrington and Aunt Edgeworth lived at home. They lived on the first floor, so it was impossible to hide our sad state of affairs. For days I wondered how I could deliver my family from this disgrace. In the end, I couldn't stand the tension in my mother's tears. They upset me too much. I decided to find a solution by myself. One evening, when the sun had turned a brilliant red and Aunt Edgeworth was giggling in a particular outrageous manner, I took a pot of jam and a fishing hook and set off. I sang, "Come into the garden, Maud, for the black bat night has flown," to frighten the bats away. My father used to sing that when he didn't go to church. Or else he sang a song called, "It Cost Me 7 and 6 pence." He sang both with equal feeling. All right, I thought to myself, the journey has begun. The night will surely bring a solution. If I keep count of the trees until I reach the place I'm going to, I shan't get lost. I'll remember the number of trees on the return journey. But I'd forgotten that I could only count to 10. And even then I made mistakes. In a very short time, I'd counted to 10 several times. And I'd gone completely astray. Trees surrounded me on all sides. "I'm in a forest," I said. And I was right. The full moon shone brightly between the trees, so I was able to see a few yards in front of me the origins of a distressing noise. It was 2 cabbages having a terrible fight. They were tearing each other's leaves off with such ferocity that soon there was nothing but torn leaves everywhere and no cabbages. "Never mind," I told myself. "It's only a nightmare." But then I remembered suddenly that I'd never gone to bed that night. So it couldn't possibly be a nightmare. That's awful. Thereupon I left the corpses and went on my way. Walking along, I met a friend. It was the horse who years later was to play an important part in my life. "Hello," he said. "Are you looking for something?" I explained to him the purpose of my late-night expedition. "I can see that in a very complicated matter from a social point of view," he said. "There are 2 ladies living near who deal with such matters. Their aim is the extermination of family shame. They're expert at it. I'll take you to them if you like. The Mrs. Cunningham Jones lived in a house discreetly surrounded by wild plants and underclothes of bygone times. They were in the garden playing a game of draughts. The horse stuck his head between the legs of a pair of 1890 bloomers and addressed the Mrs. Cunningham Jones. 'Show your friend in,' said the lady sitting on the right, speaking with a very distinguished accent. 'In the interest of respectability, we are always ready to come to the rescue.' The other lady inclined her head graciously. She was wearing an immense hat decorated with a great collection of horticulture specimens. 'Young lady,' she said, offering me a Louis Quinze chair, 'does your family descend from our dear departed Duke of Wellington, or from Sir Walter Scott, the noble aristocrat of pure literature?' I felt embarrassed. There were no aristocrats in my family. She saw my hesitation and said with the most charming smile, "Oh, my dear child, you must realize that here we deal only with the affairs of the oldest and most noble families of England." I had an inspiration and my face lit up. "In our dining room at home." The horse kicked me hard in the backside. "Never mention anything as vulgar as food," he whispered. Fortunately, the ladies were slightly deaf. I immediately corrected myself. "In our drawing room," I continued, confused, "there is a table on which we are told a duchess forgot her lorgnette in 1700. "In that case," one of the ladies said, "we can perhaps settle the matter. Of course, we shall have to set a rather high fee. Wait here for a few minutes, then we'll give you what you need. While you are waiting, you may look at the pictures in this book. It is instructive and interesting. No library is complete without it. My sister and I have always lived by its admirable example." The book was called "The Secrets of the Flowers of Refinement, or the Vulgarity of Food." When the two ladies had gone, the horse said, "Do you know how to walk without making a sound?" "Certainly," I replied. "Let's go and see the ladies at work," he said. "Come. But if you value your life, don't make the slightest sound." The ladies were in their kitchen garden. It was behind their house and was surrounded by a high brick wall. I climbed on the horse's back, and a pretty astonishing sight met my eyes. The Misses Cunningham Jones, each armed with a huge whip, were whipping the vegetables on all sides, shouting, "One's gotta suffer to go to heaven. Those who do not wear corsets will never get there." The vegetables, for their part, were fighting amongst themselves, and the larger ones threw the smaller ones at the ladies with cries of hate. "It's always like this," said the horse in a low voice. "The vegetables have to suffer for the sake of society. You'll see that they'll soon catch one for you, and that it'll die for the cause." The vegetables didn't look keen to die an honorable death, but the ladies were stronger. Soon 2 carrots and a courgette fell into their hands. "Quick," said the horse. "Let's go back." We had hardly got back and were sitting once more in front of the Vulgarity of Food when the 2 ladies returned, looking just about as poised as before. They gave me a parcel which contained the vegetables, and in return I paid them with the pot of jam and the fishing hook.